What is up, people? It is me, Monster58. Welcome back to another video review, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Liege Maximo, one of the final of the 13 Primes, technically, if you count the Vector Prime that was released in Legacy United, to be released. This and Nexus, I think, are really the last ones, and then if they do a retrain of Vector Prime, which we'll address that later when we go to the comparisons. But regardless, this is a figure I was looking greatly forward to, and the main reason is because when I saw the pictures of this guy when he was revealed, oh my god, I was like blown away with how well they were able to do this guy in terms of his looks. He just looked incredibly cool. And so, taking a look at the box here, you can see the very nice Transformers Age of the Primes. You can see the 13 Liege Maximo, obviously with his prime symbol right there. Then you can see the 25 steps up here. You can see the very nice artwork of Liege Maximo, both in his robot mode as well as in his vehicle mode or his alt mode. More nice artwork here of Liege himself with his Legionnaire darts, which are his artifact, which are just like artifacts that poison enemies when he shoots them at them. More nice artwork here. You can see Megatronus, Optimus, you can see Liege right there actually. And then you can obviously see the nice product shots here on the back of Liege Maximo. So some really cool stuff. And again, a little bit quick lore. I believe he's technically the most evil of the Primes, and he was part of the influence onto Megatronus accidentally killing Solus Prime, yada yada yada, and then starting the interwar between the Primes themselves. But regardless, when it comes to Liege Maximo in the box, this is really cool, and I think Hasbro did a really good job with the packaging, as per usual, folks. And so without further ado, alrighty, folks, here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Liege Maximo out of the box and in his alt mode. And guys, I gotta say, this is a really interesting and cool alt mode. I think when it comes to the Primes themselves, they were able to really go with a lot of different creativity, because pretty much all these characters didn't really have a concise alt mode, and so the designers were able to run free with most of the alt modes for all of these characters, and that was really cool. I think probably Onyx is probably one of the only ones that really had a more or less solid alt mode, and that's just because he was a Beast Transformer, and so it was probably easy to make an alt mode for him, but they still had to get really creative with him. And so when it comes to Liege himself in this this alt mode, I think he's really a combination to me when I'm looking at him. He looks like a combination of the organicness that we got from the Quintesson ship in Transformers 1, as well as those big, black ships that we got in Transformers Dark of the Moon that were docking the smaller ships that they were using when they fought in the Battle of Chicago. I'll put pictures obviously on screen of these. But at the end of the day, I think they did a really good job with this. The one thing I'll tell you about this vehicle mode is that, man, it feels like a brick. The plastic quality on this figure is by far, in my opinion, the best out of all the plastic qualities for any of the Primes that we've gotten thus far. He feels really dense, and it genuinely feels like this is a vehicle mode that if you threw it at somebody, this would hurt. Like, this would get hurt to hit by. But taking a look at the vehicle mode itself, you can see the very nice sculpted in and molded in detail, along with all of this really cool paint. There's a lot of different colors from the two separate greens. There's a ton of different grays and silvers and stuff like that. There's even this little blue for all these wiring, and that looks really awesome. You can even see that molded in and sculpted detail here on this lighter green here. Really looks very organic. And then you have some nice red accents throughout. So there's a nice variety of colors. So you can obviously see the nice jet boosters here, and these are obviously his massive horns. The one thing I didn't bring in today's review is that this is compatible with the throne, but currently my display, I'd rather not destroy my display because it is all set up very nicely, and I'd rather not ruin it. But at the end of the day, this is compatible with that Decepticon throne that came with the Studio Series 86. Was it the Coronation Starscream, or if you got the Dramatic Capture Series Megatron not Starscream, Soundwave as well as Shockwave, the big three. If you got that one, that also came with the throne, but this is compatible with it. These are also articulated, so you can actually turn and twist these. Now, these bits here are nice, but they're made of that rubbery, soft plastic, and I worry over time for both this as well as these, which will become his shoulder pads, whether those will crack over time. I like to think that they wouldn't, but at the same time, these are rubbery plastic bits, and if you don't keep them climate controlled or anything like that, yeah, that can be a bit spooky. But I trust more or less for the robustness of these. But again, just be wary of that and keep an eye on them. And you can see all this detail. Again, it just looks great, and again, it feels really nice. His artifact here, the Legionnaire darts, actually just clip on here very nicely, so this is part of the vehicle mode, so I really do like that. Again, just looks really good in his alt mode, despite the fact that it's, just some random spaceship. Just looks really solid, and again, feels really robust. So, What we're going to do is we are going to be doing a lot, and I mean a lot of size comparisons, because we're basically bringing in every character. Now, the one thing I'd like to make clear is you might be asking, why haven't you brought in your Vector Prime from Legacy United? Well, for me, if you want me to be honest, I'm generally hoping that either they're going to do a re-release of that in Age of the Primes, or number two, they're going to sort of do a new design for him, because if you don't remember, that figure is actually just a G-axis, a G2 G-axis remold and retool, repaint, everything like that for the Transformers Cybertron cartoon, which was obviously part of the Unicron trilogy. So that's why I haven't brought him in yet. I really hope that they either do a re-release of him, because I will buy a second one, so I have one for each display, or that they end up doing a like a sort of a redo of Vector Prime, but we'll see. But regardless, we're going to set Liege Maximo off to the side here and bring in a lot of characters. Here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnus. As you can see, he does have that really big leader class size. He's not quite as big as, like, the 07, mainline, the 07 Transformers, live action movie mainline leader classes like Optimus and Megatron, but he still has that presence. He's more or less close enough to the size where I'd consider him a regular average leader size, and I really like that. The Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Solus Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Micronus Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Alchemist Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Quintus Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Alpha Trion. My soon-to-be reviewed Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Nexus Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Prima Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Onyx Prime. The Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Megatronus the Fallen. And finally, folks, here he is with the Transformers Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime. And so, guys, for his transformation, it's not super complicated, but not super simple either. It's sort of a fine line, and I really do like that. It's probably edging more towards simple rather than not, but at the end of the day, I'm quite a fan of it. So, first thing I like to do is you can flip these bits up, and then you can take this entire section here, and you can split it down the middle. Then from here, you can take the weapon, and then you can essentially unpeg it from the bottom of what will become his heels. And then to transform his weapon, all you have to do is fold these down, which, by the way, real quick, you can also unpeg these, and these all look individually cool. We'll show this more off in robot mode, but take his artifact, the Legionnaire darts, and set them off to the side here, which obviously Liege Maximo, Legionnaire darts, right? Then from here, what you're going to do is you're going to sort of, I like to twist these a bit up just to get them out of the way, and then you can take this entire section here, and then you can pull from here, and then you can pull this entire section down like so. And then what you're going to do is you're going to see that there is a tab hole there. There's a tab here. You can take this section and rotate it like so and snap that into place. Take what will become his waist, and then you can clip both of those in. Rotate this all the way around. Then you can split the legs, and then you can fold the heels out, fold the toes out on both sides. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold this down and accordion this inside. Now what you'll notice is that there is a little tab right there, that dark green tab, and that'll go into this hole right here. So you want to curve this in, and this will snap right into place like so. Then for the same thing here, you're going to fold this all the way down. Then you're just going to curl this, and then you're going to snap this in like so. Then you basically have the bottom half of Liege transform. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the camera, and we're going to, well, not bring it down. We're going to bring it all the way up like so. And then from here, the upper body is pretty simple. You want to sort of fold these up, get them out of the way. Then you want to rotate the arms out like so. And then what you're going to want to do is start to fold this down and lift these up. Then you're going to sort of snap this into place. And then what you'll see is as you fold this chest piece in, there are these little tab holes on the side. These arms will essentially butterfly joint snap in there like so. Then you can fold these down. Then what you're going to do, rotate the arms forward. Then I like to rotate the hands like this. Do the same thing on this side here. Then to do the head, you're going to lift this up. Then you are going to lift this entire section up, rotate that section, this whole backpack section like this, and then you're going to go and grab the head. And I'm not going to lie to you, this is not the easiest thing to do. I've had quite a hard time sometimes grabbing his head from the inside of this little There we go. Jesus. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to lift the head all the way up like so. Then you're going to fold this section down, and then you'll see that little groove section at the back of his neck. You're going to fold the head down into that. Then you're going to take these horn sections, you're going to fold them like so and rotate them around. Then you can sort of collapse the backpack a bit, and that's how you can unplug it. But that, and then you can sort of rotate the horns like so. And well, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes, Leader Class Liege Maximo, transformed and into his robot mode. And guys, I gotta say, man, this guy looks amazing. Now here's the comic panel that I'll show on the screen that they took, and they more or less referenced his robot mode design from I think the G2 comic. And man, he just looks super menacing and super imposing, and I'm gonna tell you this right now, out of all of the Leader Class Primes, he's actually the biggest one. Not by an insane amount, but certainly by a decent amount, enough by like about half a head or so. He's a pretty big and chunky fella. And so when it comes to the actual looks of this guy, they smashed it out of the park. I mean, all that detail that you saw in his vehicle mode really comes out here in his robot mode too, and you get some extra colors like those little gold bits like on his crotch piece and on his knees. So coming here and looking at the details, that head sculpt is really, really cool. Now we obviously didn't really get to see much of the actual head sculpt, primarily because in the comic panel it's just blacked out, but these horns are cool, the silver is cool. Look at those eyes. Those eyes are really neat. Let's see if I can... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the eyes, you can see the silver there. The red for the bottom of his chin looks really, really good. Then you can come down here, look at the detail in that chest. I mean, look at all that wiring. That is really well done, really cool. Look at all the sculpted in and molded in detail there. That is amazing. You can see it even in the chest here. Then come here to the shoulder pads. They're the same rubbery plastic. And the thing about these shoulder pads, I'll tell you this right now, these easily tab in and tab off. They just tab in with these little pegs here, and then you have that peg hole right there. But I'll tell you this right now, these like to pop off relatively often. Not super often, but often enough to where it's annoying. Arms look good. The hands look really good as well. I really do like that. You can see the nice, even all that, you know, that wiring comes out here in the forearms as well. That's really nice. Coming out here to the crotch, again, you can see that little gold piece here, a little extra detail. Then you can see some more nice work in the crotch piece. Look at those thighs, too. I mean, all that detail is just so well done. Even down here, this isn't painted, but still, that looks really awesome. And then when you come down here to the side, I mean, sure, the only backpack that he has is his, like, massive, you know, horns or whatever, his back ornament, which obviously, again, like I said, if you just unpeg it like this, these pegs will go into the back of the throne, so you can do that, and that looks pretty cool. But regardless, I just think that they did a fantastic job with this guy. All that detail, everything comes out really, really, really well and really nice. I really do think that they did a smash-up job with this guy as a whole. So when it comes to the robot mode and his looks and the details, the paint, everything that you saw in the vehicle mode is the same here in robot mode, if not better. So really, really amazing stuff here from the team at Hasbro and at Takara. Really doing a good job with our Liege Maximo here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a bunch of size comparisons, so get ready. What we're going to do is we're going to set this guy off to the side here, and we're going to bring in everybody that you just saw, so get ready. Alrighty, folks, here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnus, the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Micronus Prime, the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Solus Prime, the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Alchemist Prime, the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Quintus Prime, the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Alpha Trion, the soon-to-be reviewed Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Nexus Prime, the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Amalgamus Prime, the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Prima Prime, the Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Onyx Prime, the Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Megatronus the Fallen, and finally, the Transformers Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime. Alright, you guys, before we get into the articulation, let's take a look at the Legionnaire dart. So here is the actual accessory. You can see it's nicely painted and molded. Pretty cool overall, nothing crazy. But you can remove each of these darts, and they look each pretty interesting. I do like each individual one is very unique. This one, I don't know, this one looks like a prod. This one looks like a missile. This looks pretty cool. You can see all that nice molded and transparent or red plastic detail. That looks really, really good. And then this one looks like I don't know, like a feather or something like that. It looks neat. It's actually probably the closest to a dart that he has on here. This looks neat. You can see the nice spikes right there. That looks really nice. And then they plug in via these little pegs here, which is really, really neat. Overall, it's kind of a small accessory, and at the end of the day, this does represent what I saw in some art and stuff like that for his darts, but I kind of wish that the initial design when they first created the character would have been a little bit more organic, considering how organic he looks overall. But overall, not a crazy accessory. So what you can do is you can just plug it into his hand like so, and then he can hold it. To do the gun, you can just rotate this around like so, or whichever way you feel is appropriate, and then you can take the gun like so, rotate it around like that, and then there. He has his gun, which is pretty cool. It's nothing crazy, but the fact that he comes with an arm cannon is really, really neat overall, and I do really like it. So very, very cool stuff overall. Again, not the craziest amount of accessories or anything like that. He just comes with what he needs, but what he comes with is pretty solid. Nicely molded, nicely painted, and the integration of the arm cannon into his forearm there is pretty damn cool. So yeah, really like that. So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to get into the articulation. And so when it comes to the articulation for this guy, it's actually pretty solid. The only thing I'll say about his articulation is, unfortunately, it's a little bit stifled because he is such a large character. He's like Megatronus, very chunky, very wide. And so unfortunately, despite him having really nice joints, his movement is still inhibited. I don't really fault the figure necessarily for that, more fault the design of the character. So at the end of the day, I'm giving more leeway on the fact that he doesn't have the best articulation whatsoever. And so, taking a look at the head here, the only thing I'll say about the articulation is the head is on the ball joint, so you can do full 360 and look it up and down like this. Is I wish this entire head ornament piece would move and not just this. I get it for transformation, but I do wish it moved. And yes, I didn't say that this is the plastic rubber that I'm not the biggest fan of. Shoulder pads can go up and down, so the arms can go up and down. Well, there goes the gun right below my tripod too. That was lovely. You can go up and down, do a full 360. Just gotta watch the actual shoulder pad. Yeah, technically I have a little bit of a butterfly joint because of transformation. Not a little more than 90 at the elbow, rotation at the wrist, rotation here as well, and then opening and closing fists, and then you do have a thumb as well. So that's pretty neat. Nice to get some expressions out of that. Then, as you saw with transformation, you also have a full 360 here at the waist, which looks a bit weird, especially when you go this far. This far it looks fine. It's just that all the way around looks really weird. Then these little skirt flaps also flip up, so you can go forward, you can go back. 90 degree, actually more than 90 at the knee, rotation to the upper part of the thigh, and then you do have ankle rocker pivot as well. So this guy can pose pretty damn well for how big and chunky he is. Again, it's just a bit limited, like in the shoulders in particular, and a little bit in the legs in particular, when he's moving around, and even in the head, just because of how large and how wide and chunky he is. But overall, articulation is really solid for this guy. I have no major complaints in that department. Alrighty, folks, time for his reverse transformation, which is pretty damn simple. At the end of the day, like I told you for the transformation going to his robot mode, and even in general, his transformation is not overly complicated or anything like that, but it's not overly simple either. It's just, once you get it, and I'm really happy with it. So, first off, let's do the actual Legionnaire darts. All you gotta do for this transformation is just take the section and lift it up like so, and then bam, we got it. And you want to make sure that those two tabs that you see here, these two little gray ones, those are facing upwards like this, and then you're going to be putting it on the vehicle mode like so. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and set this off to the side for the time being. Then we'll get to this guy himself. So first thing I like to do, come down here, you can fold the heels like so, and then fold the toes down. And then you can smash these two pieces together and take these sections and untab them and sort of rotate them and get them out of the way. I like to just rotate them like this. It just helps get them out of the way. Should I tab like that? And untab this section, then sort of just rotate it up and out of the way like so. Again, just to get these pieces out of the way, it just definitely helps out. Then from here, what I like to do is you can take these arms, straighten them out like so. And then from here, what we're going to do is take the head. You're going to fold this up. You are going to rotate these little bits up like so. You're going to fold this up, push the head all the way in like so. Fold this back down, then fold this entire section down. push these shoulder pads up, and then take this section. You want to untab the arms by pushing out like so, then rotate this section up. Then from here for these arms, what you're going to do is you're going to see that you rotate them in like so. You want to rotate the arms around like so, and then what you'll see is these little tabs here will go into these little slots here, like so, like that, and then you can rotate the hand and just collapse it into place like so. So again, you're just going to rotate that in like this. You're going to rotate this all the way around, clip that tab into place, and do that like so. And then from here, you're going to, there goes the shoulder pad, which sucks. Just put that back on. You're going to take this section, and I'd be very careful. These are very tight, this peg right here for the waist, and when I was transforming this guy initially, I smashed my finger here, so do your best to just do that without smashing your finger up the top there. Then you can push this a little forward to give you some clearance. Take this section, untab these sections, rotate the entire waist around. And then what you're going to want to do is as you get here, you're going to want to take this entire section and want to start to accordion it and fold it. Like so, once you fold that all the way there. Then from here, when you're about halfway, then you can take this and what you're going to notice, well, actually, you do this all the way first. Then you'll see these two little tabs here that form into one will go into that slot that the waist was in. So that's all tabbed into place very nicely like so. Then just sort of make sure everything is squeezed together. And I want to take this section, and what you'll notice on the bottom of the heels, there are these two little tab holes right here on the outside, and there goes my camera, accidentally knocked the camera. Then this will just slot right into place like so. This is the trickiest part in my opinion, the transformation. I'm not quite the biggest fan of how they, there we go, like that. And then from here, what you're going to do is you just collapse these sections inward like so. These will all nicely tab, or that'll get loose. That's lovely. There we go. Tab that all into place like so. Fold these bits down, then reattach this because this fell off as well. Then you can just push both of these in. So these will be up like this. You can push both of them down, rotate these around like so. And well, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes, Leader Class Liege Maximo, back in his crazy-looking Cybertronian spaceship mode. And so, guys, from my final concluding thoughts on the Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Liege Maximo, this guy is a fantastic figure. This, in my opinion, out of the Primes is probably the best of them. I really just do think that he just feels like the total package. What I really like about this whole Age of the Primes line is that they're really able to be pretty creative with these guys, considering when it comes to like their alt modes and even their robot modes and stuff like that. There's not really a set look for them. Some of them have had several looks throughout the entirety of this franchise, and so it's nice for them to be able to get a bit creative. I'd say the worst things about Liege are definitely those plastic, rubbery bits. I worry about them over time, especially transforming them, particularly on his head. I'm not quite a fan of his head having that because it's really hard to grab his head and pull it out of that little slot there when you're transforming him to his robot mode. The other thing I also think about Liege that I'll say is a little bit of a criticism, it's because he's a chunky figure. At the end of the day, his articulation is a little bit hampered by that fact, but regardless, it is still really good, just, something to be concerned about. And so overall, when it comes to the good for this figure, the alt mode is fantastic. It's really cool and creative. Again, reminds me of taking the quintessence organicness of the ship in Transformers 1 and then taking the Transformers invasion ships from Dark of the Moon and combining them into one ship. In addition to that, the paint, the sculpted in, molded in detail looks really, really good. And in addition to that, it just feels really dense. The plastic quality is incredibly good. Transformation isn't super simple, but isn't overly complicated either. And then when you get him into his robot mode, all those details, those sculpted in, molded in details and the paint and everything really gets accentuated, and you get a little bit more as well. I do like his artifact, even though it's kind of straightforward. It's at the end of the day, I think his is one of the only ones that is like kind of like a straight up weapon. Maybe like the Forge of Solus, Prima's Star Saber, the gun or the Requiem. Actually, well, a lot of them are actually just straight up weapons. But his is pretty cool. I just kind of wish that the initial design of it was a little bit more organic, because considering how he looks, it does look a bit kind of out of place, but I do also like the fact that he has an integrated arm cannon in his forearm on his left arm, which is really, really cool. But yeah, overall, when it comes to this figure, out of the Primes, I do think he's probably the best, and so at a score out of a 10, again, this isn't a perfect score by any stretch of the imagination in terms of the figure itself, but I argue I should give him a 10 out of 10. He's just a really good figure, and I would highly recommend you pick him up, even for full price. Honestly, recommend, because he's got that leader class size, got that leader class heft. Just a really well made and well done figure. Really represents the character that we saw in the comics and in the art very nicely. Very menacing, very imposing, very well detailed, very nicely articulated despite his little bit of a chunkiness. Comes with a decent amount of stuff. At the end of the day, he just feels really good, and I'm quite a fan of this figure overall when it comes to the primes as a whole. And so I did pick mine up IRL. I actually picked mine up literally last week IRL. So if you're on the hunt IRL, definitely be on the lookout at your local Walmart, because that's where I found this guy, because this guy is hitting store shelves very clearly. He is. And so I would highly recommend that if you do have a Walmart near you, or if you have a grocery store similar to Walmart, if you're not in the US like I am, at the end of the day, go and look at your local stores. They might already have this guy stocked, because that's how I was able to get this guy. I was able to cancel some pre-orders, so some really awesome stuff there. But I will leave links down in the video description for Big Bad Toy Store, Hasbro Pulse, as well as Amazon, if you guys wish to use those online retailers instead, because I did have this guy pre-ordered on Big Bad Toy Store before I found him IRL at Walmart. So yeah, I think that's really it for the review. So I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also follow me on the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.